I really want people to see the urban community for this. This is what you're gonna get when you see somebody like me, and I'm not a super politician guy. I'm not anything like that. I'm just the urban entertainment business in St. Louis, and I want to make it home to my family.
Hey, this is Sean Newman, host of the SNP here in Canada, and you're listening to the one and only Vance Crowe podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm glad you're here. Today, we interview Robert Dillard, who also goes by Soulo. I met Robert down as the security guard for this building, and as I got to know him better, I realized, wait a second, this guy is an amazing entrepreneur with all sorts of backstory that I think would be a good conversation. Robert and I have a wide-ranging conversation about some subjects that candidly make me a little bit nervous. To talk with a black man about things like Black Lives Matter, how the Ferguson riots impacted him, and should I be a little bit nervous if I were to go to one of his rap shows? But in truth, the conversation was easy flowing and Robert seemed like an old friend. So I think you're going to enjoy this look into a man that lives in a culture that may be different than yours day in and day out. We're going to get to the podcast in just a moment, but first, a few housekeeping items. If you're a longtime listener to the podcast, you know we normally release on Monday afternoons, but the Articulate Ventures team has been expanding, and we've brought on some people to help us increase engagement. One of the recommendations they have is most of you are listening on Wednesdays. So we're going to start releasing this podcast on Wednesday morning instead of Monday afternoon. Another thing that has happened is we asked for reviews during our 2022 roundup, and we got them. We got a bunch, but we also want a bunch more. It is so helpful when people write reviews. Give us 5 stars and tell other people what they're going to get when they listen to the podcast. The biggest benefit of this is when you start writing reviews, it tells the algorithms that, hey, this is a show worth listening to. And the better we can expand our reach, the better our gravity well gets and the more interesting people you get to engage with. So I really hope you'll take a few moments on whatever app you're listening to this on and write a review for the podcast. Speaking of apps, just recently, I've become aware of an app that's doing something that I have long wanted to do. It's called Fountain.fm, and it's a different way to stream podcasts. Normally, if you're creating a podcast, the way you monetize it is you take an audience and you build up the audience by putting out content that's interesting to them. And then you sell that attention that your audience is giving you to an advertiser. I've always tried to resist this. Certainly on YouTube, there are ads on here, but I don't put them on there, and I've never really wanted to run ads. Well, Fountain.fm has started a new service where you subscribe to the platform, and then as you listen to different podcasts, it takes part of your subscription fee and gives it to the producers of the podcast. This means that a podcaster can be supported without having to sell ads, and it really hits exactly where I want to be. The other big benefit of Fountain.fm is they are supporting the Bitcoin network, and this is something that I truly and deeply care about. And if you've listened to me talk about Bitcoin, you know that I always say you're never going to learn about the Bitcoin system without digging in and getting your hands a little bit dirty. But the more that you start to run around and figure out how things work, the more customary it will feel and the easier it'll be to use. So if you want to support the podcast in a new way, you can either write a review or go to Fountain.fm, download the app, and start listening to us there. Our legacy interviews have continued to grow. That's one of the reasons we've had to bring on more staff. And we're actually expanding our office space. One of the reasons that we have to do this is because our clients have been saying, hey, I want to bring my parents in together. I want to give them the experience of interviewing individually, and then I want them to be interviewed as a couple. This is an amazing service, and you really get to capture the autobiography, the memoirs of a couple that have built their lives together and created future generations. A concierge interview is a complete day dedicated to capturing not only your life stories, but turning them into an autobiography that you can pass down. That's why we've started to offer the opportunity to turn the transcript of your interview into a leather-bound book that you can cherish and pass on for generations. If you're interested in having us do a concierge interview with your parents or grandparents, go to legacyinterviews.com to find out more. All right, without further ado, let's head to the interview with my man, Robert Soulo Dillard. Robert Dillard, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, man. This is dope. I love your setup. You're doing your thing.
So you run a security company in St. Louis, even in my building here.
Yeah.
Is it dangerous to be running a security company?
For here, I tell people all the time, this is the worst area ever, right? Because people that don't have it likes to come to the areas that do, and they rob them. And we have Metrolink by here. We got the mall by here. It's dangerous. So, I can walk outside right now and somebody's probably going to break in the car. You know what I'm saying? But you just have to be prepared for that as a security guard,
How'd you get into the world of being a security guard?
I went broke. I was on the road doing some shows, doing stuff for Chingy, this rapper. And I was a singer, songwriter, all that stuff. And he put me on a tour with him. And my money ran out because I didn't know the business, and end up telling my wife at the time, like, I needed to get a job. And she was like, well, I know this place called Securitize that's hiring. So I worked for Securitize. I ended up meeting the owner of this building. And I was like, you know what, man? Let me have the contract to this building. And we worked something out, and he was like, I'll pay for everything, but I didn't need him to. My wife paid for everything, So I started it, and I've been in business for 7 years now,
And how big has the business gotten?
Got real big, and then when COVID hit, got real small. Man, it got so small. COVID messed me up. I had 12 contracts. I went down to 4 contracts. And the 4 contracts turned into 2 contracts. And then I got real busy with my other business and turned into 1 contract. So now, that just tells you, like, life can happen so fast.
Yeah, man. Like, and nobody could have predicted COVID in the sense that, like, even if you were like, there could be a pandemic, nobody could have imagined that all these buildings, they'll just be empty. There just won't be anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a really 24-hour contract. So I was just making money all day. And lost that contract. And everybody in the plant got fired. And I was like, wow. So now I'm over here thinking, like, I just lost all this, but I'm thinking about my employees. How can I help, So I just worked out a deal. I was like, you know what? If you guys bring me a contract, then I'll just make you a partner on it, Where that makes you, have ownership into the company. And it worked.
So that's 2 entrepreneurial ideas you had. Like, the first one was you had the foresight to ask the business manager, like, or the building owner, can we get this contract, and then bringing people on as partners. How'd you learn entrepreneurship?
I actually just studied it, like, on like social media, read books. I grew up in a really tough area, where we didn't have that, somebody to show us the business side, or we don't have that rich uncle or rich mom and dad where they tell you, like, this is what you're going to do. And we're going to, you had to really figure it out. I watched a lot of these drug dealers that's out here run their business on the street. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be just like that, but way smarter. I'm not a flashy guy. You don't see jewelry on me. I drive 2 nice cars and that's it. But I stay in a nice area where I can do it, But, I just learned it from just watching people and reading books.
So when you say you grew up in a rough area, like, rough area to you, rough area to me are different things.
What's your rough area?
Well, where I grew up, the rough area was like people in a trailer court, and maybe there were like 45 or 100 of them.
Yeah.
But it was like, bad things maybe went on, but not that bad. There was never, if a shooting happened, that'd be a really big
If a shooting happened over in your area, probably like, you know what? Everybody's standing in the house. If a shooting area happened in my area, everybody's getting out to retaliate.
Really?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
To retaliate, they going outside and they killing whoever until they find out what's that person that did it. That's how dangerous the area that I grew up in, Paysdale, Missouri. Born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, grew up in Paysdale, went to Normandy High School. And I witnessed one of my friends get shot right in the head.
In the head?
Yeah. Still hunt me to this day, you know. One of my friends, we was leaving the house at the school. It was a half a day. And I told him, I was like, man, I don't feel right. We were supposed to have basketball practice, but I didn't go. I went with him. I was like, man, I don't feel right. You know, let's not go. And we went in this area and they was shooting dice. And I decided to leave, of course, with him to go over there just to make sure everything was cool. Once we get there, it was just weird. It was like a lot of people we never met. And they went to shoot dice and it just went left. You know, so I don't witness a lot of stuff, you know. So
how old were you when you saw that?
I saw that when I was like 15. I was in high school. Like,
and how much time between like, oh, this is getting bad to he gets shot in the head? How much time elapses?
Man, I don't even know because it happened so quick. And I still think about it, you know? To this day, I still think about that. But in my world, they say, like, you know what, Robert or Soulo, like, you're not a street guy. I'm not a street guy. I'm more on the business side when people talk to me, but I grew up in that area, you know?
You know, all the time I spent growing up and you see like real bad areas, which I didn't go to very many of them, but I've been over to East St. Louis. I've seen some like, you know, but I always have wondered, like, if it's so bad, why don't people just leave?
Just leave? You can't. You got to have money to leave. You know, that's like, I had my uncle, you know, that took me out of the area, moved me to O'Fallon, Missouri, you know.
That'd be a change.
Yeah, that was a big change. I had to adapt to what I was seeing around there, you know. And I was seeing a lot of like where it was like love. You know, I grew up in a household where it was love, but I'm talking about as far as like hanging out with friends. You don't know if you're going to get shot by your own friend in the area that I was in, you know. So he took me into an area where he showed me a lot of love and how to be a man. You know, so I love that dude to death, man.
Tell me about your uncle.
My uncle is one of the top chefs in the city. Like, he is a great guy. He does a lot, man. I could say I get my business savvy from him. Like, I got it from him because I watched him for so many years just take care of his family and open up business and have multiple streams of income. Like, so I watched him do a lot, you know? Good dude. Yeah.
And what was it like that your family, that you know, your uncle could come in and take you to O'Fallon? You were living with your mom before?
Yeah, I was living with my mom, so we had a fire. You know, my stepfather, which he's a good dude too, but we had a fire, so it was forced for me to actually have to leave. And I stayed out there until my mom got the new place. And I just told my uncle, like, I don't want to leave, you know? Like, I love my mom. I love my dad, my stepfather. I call him my dad, whatever. But this is a better environment. I knew as a kid, like, this is a better environment. I want to stay out here. So, you know, I just went home on the weekends and just stayed with him during the week, started going to school with him and all that. So,
and then you finish up high school at O'Fallon, and then you get into the rap world?
So I was already in the industry with this record called Bedrock. So we had this record on the radio stations. It was playing in Atlanta, St. Louis, New York, Mississippi, Memphis. It was playing around certain markets. So people already knew who he was. And I was in a group called 3G. We ended up getting a record deal signed to Island Def Jam. So that was pretty cool, but it was a single deal. So with that single deal, they put the song out, but it was also a time for the song to get stolen from one of the biggest artists in the world, and that was Lil Wayne. You know, Lil Wayne, and if you go on YouTube, you can see everything. It's all on there. 3G, Bedrock, and Young Money, Bedrock, it's all out there. So that's how I got in the industry, just, you know, just putting out that song, and it actually did some stuff. I made a little money from it, and I started writing for like Chingy, started writing for a lot of different celebrities, so it worked. I just, that's how I got in, though.
Writing, and when you say you're like writing down the lyrics of things that make sense. They can fit to a beat, and they can.
Like if you're an artist and you say, you know what, I really don't know how to make music, then you call somebody like me, and then I put a team together and we go in there and we fix your problem. Like it's like construction. You know what? I want to buy this building and I want to put this room in here, and I just don't know how to build it. So you call somebody like a construction company and they come in there and fix it. So you call me and I come in there and fix you and get you together so you can put out some music,
And when you got this record deal, you get a little bit of money. What do you start doing with the money once you get
it? I blew it.
Everybody does.
I blew it. I promise you I did. I bought cars. I was just out here bad. I was flat.
So it was enough money to be able to buy cars.
It was like 50.
Okay. That's a good chunk of change for anyone.
Yeah, for a 16, 17-year-old dude. Yeah, you like, man. Everybody got 50, so I'm looking like, this is cool. I'm gonna make my money, and I'm gonna sit back, and I'm gonna let this money make me money, and that didn't work. I blew everything. I bought clothes, shoes, whatever. It was just bad. I bought a lot of stuff.
How long did the 50K last?
Probably like that year. That's it. Yeah, it only lasts for the whole year. Like I was just spending it because I was still making money on top of that, but that 50 probably lasts for like a year or a little bit less than a year. Yeah.
And then you started touring and going around and so what was that like?
Oh, that was amazing. That was amazing, man. I reached a lot of cities, like where the record, we go out there, perform, and then we leave and go home, and then go do the same thing every weekend. Like it was pretty dope. So, and at the time I was doing that, no kids, so it was perfect. Yeah.
We were talking before the cameras got going about the different cultures, and like it's very easy for me to go to another country. Like I've been through Central America. I lived in Kenya for a while.
That's dope.
But if I go to places where it's like the urban American culture, I'm more intimidated there than I am anywhere else. I think like a big part of it is everybody's speaking my language, but the way they're speaking it is so totally different.
It's slanging fast.
Real
keep up,
right? Yeah. Like I watch your show, Cigar Talk. I've watched like quite a few of them, right? Where you guys are blowing smoke while there's still time, I think is the line. And like I find it to be really interesting, but it's so jarring to me, the language itself. It's like it's English, but it's
like real fast.
It's not my English, right?
Slang.
Yeah.
It's you gotta be, as they say, you got to be hip to understand what's going on. And, we talking the same thing. I just sound different. It's like we have to kind of, basically with me, I'm not going to ever change. Like if I go talk to you, if I go talk to my friend on the street, if I go talk to a billionaire in the room, whatever the case may be, I'm not going to change. I'm always going to sound the same. Because I want you to understand me as a person and how I come up, So, I don't know.
But if you go to a rap show, like to me, that's like young people all amped up, like tons of energy there. Yeah. I am intimidated. I'd be like standing off in the corner being like, all right, I don't belong here.
You shouldn't be that way, man, because I'm telling you, it's fun. And every urban area is not dangerous. It's just the way it is, because we get intimidated going in certain areas too.
Yeah.
Me going into O'Fallon, I don't know these people.
Tell people what O'Fallon is like, because they don't really understand that if you went from
before now, like before 5 years ago, O'Fallon was just nothing but white. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? It's nothing but white. You see a lot of trucks and mud and hunting.
Yeah, like countryside kind of. It's like right where country meets a little bit of town.
I have no problem with it, but I didn't understand it. So once I started being out there more, I started to understand like, hey man, this is actually cool. It's fun. It's a lot of farms out there. It's like you might ride down the street, you're going to, instead of hitting a person, you'll hit a cow. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, wow, I see cows, I see coyotes, I see everything out here. in my area, you don't see deers. In O'Fallon, you see a lot of deers. They might run on 79 and you might hit them, but it's different, man. It's a better lifestyle, and you can actually raise a family out there, where you don't have to worry about walking outside and a stray bullet might hit you. You don't have to worry about that out there. So yeah.
And so you're 16, you've made this record deal, you start going on tour then?
So once the group broke up, I started working for Chingy. And that's when I started doing a lot of shows and tours and stuff like that, working with him. Yeah, that dude's, he is a busy. If you don't know who Chingy is, he had one of the biggest songs in the world called Right There. It's on like a lot of movies, and him and Nelly, they was like the first two to make it out this St. Louis market. So yeah.
And you're like going up on stage, you're holding microphones,
Yeah.
there are people,
Yeah.
calling up.
Probably in front of like 60,000 to 4 people in a room type stuff. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. And it's all on my social media. Yeah, all that stuff is on there. I performed in front of a lot of people.
And when did all that start to wrap up?
Once I stopped working with these guys called the Fast Tracks. So these guys, I still talk to Ashley Booker. We actually had the podcast together, the Unplugged Music Review. So after I stopped working with them, I stopped being their artist. It kind of just slowed up. And I went broke, like I was mentioning earlier. And I met my wife, and I basically told her, like, you know what, I'm about to be broke. If you want to leave, get out. I told her, I was like, I'm really about to be broke. But if you stay with me, I'm telling you, you're going to be good. And I'm gonna help you get through whatever you want to go and follow your dreams. So, and that's how that happened.
How old were you when you met her?
I met her at 22. I met her at 22. I got married to her when I was 24. So, yeah, she was 23. So, yeah, I was 22. I just knew right off the jump, like, she was a good woman, So, yeah, she's the reason why I'm doing good.
Yeah. And what did you learn about yourself by being married or being connected to her?
I just love anyway, Like, I love people. I love people more than money. You know what I'm saying? I use money. I love people. So I just always looked at it like I just wanted to have the wife, the family. I wanted something to go home to every day. And she makes sure that she remind me every day, like, she is a good woman, So, yeah. Yeah, man.
And so you, after you're doing your security stuff, you also, like, crazily, you have your own music studio.
Yeah.
You run multiple podcasts.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing all kinds of stuff.
So I have Unplugged Studios, which is me and my cousin / business partner. His name's J-Bo. J-Bo is a part of one of the biggest mafias from back in the day called BMF. It's actually TV shows about them on Stars. If you ever heard of like 50 Cent, he put a show out about them right now. It's called BMF, Blowing Money Fast. So, and you can go watch it right now, and you can see J-Bo on Stars right now talking about it. So we own Unplugged together, and he has a record label called Blowing Money Fast. We have a few artists on there. It's pretty amazing. And we just helping these guys figure out a better life than being on the street, or, they can really follow their dream. With that studio, we do pretty good,
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a legit studio.
Yeah.
I was watching it. I see your like reels on it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, he knows a lot more about sound and audio than I do.
It's amazing. And to be honest with you, I got a great team. I have a great team, man. These guys are really good, and they understand this business. Like it's like a book. If they wrote a book on it, these guys know it. Like, they understand it. So they help. And, I got the podcast, Cigar Talk, STL, and I have Unplugged Music Review, and I'm working on a few other things. Yeah.
So tell me about the business of running a studio, right? Like, what does it take to make that a profitable venture?
You got to have the right equipment in there because people want the good quality music, you know? So, and you got to have, it's like a barbershop. You can't have a barbershop without barbers or beauticians. You got to have that stuff to keep the thing rolling so you can make money. So these engineers come in. Everybody wants to be an artist. No matter if it's a grandma to the son or the nephew, everybody wants to be an artist, no matter what. Somebody in your family, like, you know what, I can really sing, you know? So you call somebody like me. When you call me, all I'm going to do is say, hey, how much studio time you want? Okay, cool. You want this? We charge $100 an hour. And you have to book 2 hours. So that's $200 already made, right? So you say you want a 10-hour block. I might throw you a deal and say, hey, you want 10 hours, I'll give it to you for $800. I knock $200 off. That's fine. And then you say, you know what? I want to get this song mixed. So now you have to pay another $200 to get the song mixed. And next thing you know, you're going to say, you know what? I really like how you guys do things. Can I use your marketing? Now that's more money that you got to pay, you know, so this thing make money all day. And if you have at least 20 people that's booking studio time every day or every week, then you're going to do good.
And is there that much demand out there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy, man? Like, once I got the studio equipment in here,
yeah,
the number of people that came to me and they're like, I always wanted to record a podcast,
but I
didn't want to invest into it. I didn't want
right.
to. So I can totally see that being true of being music.
Oof. It's pretty good. And like with the podcast stuff, I charge people to do interviews, you know, or I might say, hey, you can send me your music for $25. If 25 people send you $25, then, you know, just being honest. And if you do that every week, like tonight, I do the podcast music review and I have 70 people that sent music in. You get what I'm saying?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because they want people they want exposure.
They want exposure.
And so you guys, because I've seen a couple of these, you're like, you have a camera and there's like a table, just like the one in front of me. And you guys are sitting on one side of it and you can hear the music that you guys are listening to. And then you guys are just riffing about it.
Yeah. But behind that table, it's probably 15 people in the room and a producer over there with lights and everything. We just don't show them.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And so tell me, like, who listens to your review show?
A lot of people that's urban. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of urban people. But they know that we have a way to get into a lot of the industry people. Like we have a way of getting to people that they are fans of for so many years. We are very good at that. You know,
people sending you their records though, 70 of them, like some percentage of them are going to be pretty hard to listen to.
We try to get them all done. You know, we try to get them all done, and then we do a big showcase. So if you sent music in, you have a way of performing for free. But if we plug your music, then you perform for free. But if we unplug your music, you have to pay to perform. You know, so it's just, I just mixed all that in. Like my studio is called Unplugged. So I just made everything unplugged, music review, unplugged cigar talk, everything. So yeah, got a way of doing certain things.
Yeah. I mean, like it's interesting about like, you just seem to kind of bring things together to see what works. Like one of the episodes I watched was the guys from the Chop Shop, and there's like, I don't know, 15 people in your studio all talking, maybe more than 15.
Yeah, it was about 15. Yeah. And then outside of it, it was probably like 100 people. They brought a lot of people with them. And it was only supposed to be 2 people.
What is the Chop Shop?
Chop Shop is a barbershop. And when I say that these guys are, man, they're wealthy. Like these guys, they They live a fast lifestyle, legit lifestyle too. And their clientele is just crazy. They cut half of the NBA hair. Like they travel and cut hair. A lot of the NFL players, they cut their hair. Like they are really good.
So that's a part of your culture that's different than mine. Like in my culture, I either go to a stylist where like you set up an appointment, it's one person, you're just right there. Or I go to the barbershop and I'm like trying to be like, what is the fastest I can get in and get out of here, right? But like the culture around cutting hair.
Oh, it's serious.
It's serious. It's totally
serious.
Different.
I pay $80 a week to get my hair cut. Promise you.
Because you can't just take buzzers and do that yourself?
I think I really have a problem. Like, I will be depressed if I don't have a haircut. Like, I will sit in the room and I complain to everybody around me, like, I need to get a haircut. And it's only one person that can cut my head. And that's this guy named ATL. I call him my brother, but, you know, yeah, he is really good. And to be honest with you, I definitely appreciate that guy. He'd be like, I'll cut your hair for free. No, I'm gonna pay you for your service. You charge $100, but I'm paying you $80. It's cool with me.
So what's the black rag that people wear on their heads, like
do-rag?
particularly at night, right? Like, because I used to run this camp for inner city kids. So there were a bunch of kids from urban environments, a bunch of kids that wear it. But I would ask them, and they'd be like, I don't know, I was just supposed to wear it. Like,
so they call it a do-rag or a wave cap. For me, as you can see, it's a lot of waves going on in here, right? So you'll wear a wave cap at night so you can keep all this intact. Like, so if I don't want my hair to be like just
because if you're like rolling your head, it'll be like
it'll be messed up.
Yeah, okay.
And so I wear a wave cap to keep it together.
And what is it about the culture that makes haircuts like important?
You want to look good. You want to look nice. You want to look like something. You don't want to be out here looking like a fool, or you know, you want to look presentable. So that's the thing. If you're trying to go get that great job, they don't want some, you know, like me. If I'm sitting in front of I'm the first person that everybody see. So if I'm walking and I don't look presentable, I'm not getting talked to. Nobody's gonna be looking at me the way they look at me. You wouldn't have came to me, you know? So it's just like you gotta look presentable, you know?
I have a hilarious story, at least hilarious to me. When I was in Kenya, right? I was living there for a while, and my hair started getting long. And I'm like, all right, well, there's nowhere for me to like go get my hair cut, so I'm gonna stop by this barbershop. Now, in the town I was in, they only had electricity like an hour a day. This is like way, way up in the mountains, like way remote. And so I go with this guy named Daniel who speaks English, and like we sit down, and as soon as I walk in there, everybody's like, "Who is this guy?" Right? Like, it's like, And so they sit me down, and instead of having like a fancy barber chair, they just have like a plastic chair, and they've got this like, you know, shears, and nobody's ever cut my hair with shears, right? My hair is cut with scissors, right? Because my hair is like super straight. So anytime you make a cut, there's gonna be a giant line across it. And I haven't thought of this story in a long time. And so right as they're about, you know, they're turning on the buzzards, and just as they're about to touch my hair, I go like, "Hey, Daniel, would you ask him a question? And ask him how many white people's hair he's cut before." And Daniel says something in Kikuyu. I don't understand it. And all of a sudden the whole, like, and then the guy that's about to cut my hair is like, it just says something, and the whole room starts laughing. And I'm like, "What?" And Daniel is looking there kind of sheepish. And I'm like, "What, Daniel?" And he goes, "He's never actually met a white person before."
I'm trying to tell you, that's how I felt going to O'Fallon.
Yeah.
Being honest, man, you know.
He cut my hair with those clippers. It made me look like I was Mega Man, like I was wearing a helmet because of my hair didn't work.
You had waves and stuff.
Yeah, it was just like all the way around, like all the same size.
Yeah, that's crazy. that's not cool, man. So in your culture, like, what do you, when you see somebody like me, right? If I'm out of uniform, if I'm dressed like this, didn't know me, how would you feel?
It depends on the context, right? Like, so if you're at one of the restaurants I'm at, you're eating, you're whatever, then like, hey, this is a guy like me.
Right.
If we're somewhere where I'm like, I don't know the people around. Like if I'm in the parking lot and I'm walking in and it's late at night and I see you, I am 100% going to be like, all right, is this the person I got to be worried about?
Right.
Whereas if I see a guy that looks like me wearing a polo, I'm sitting there being like, I bet I could, you know.
Right. Why though?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think every image that I have of black people in the last 5 years is like, I have maybe 3 black friends that I see on any kind of regularity, and everything else is what I see in the media. I've been around, where they've both been in Africa, I ran camp furniture, so I've been around it. But like, you get hit with enough images, in particular in St. Louis, like it seems like it would be foolish not to be aware.
Right. So
does that hurt your feelings?
Not at all. Not at all. Because I want to educate people that don't know about my culture. When you see somebody like me, never judge a book by its cover, because I probably own half of the entertainment in St. Louis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're talking, for sure.
So I tell people, like I had a lady that actually, her place just got robbed, right by my studio. And I guess she got held up at gunpoint, and the detectives need my camera. So this place had no cameras at first. And now the detectives call me, they say, hey, Mr. Dillard, I want to use your cameras to see, if we can tell me what happened. So, but this same lady that I'm talking about, she called the police on me because I walked into my building, and she judged me. She called the police and was like, hey, it's this black guy walking into the building, and he don't look like he belong. Police come. I know the police officer. The guy works for me. Right? The guy works for me. He's like, oh man, this is my boss. Like, I worked at the makeup company, the 24-hour contract. And I said, yeah, man, she called the police on me because I look like this. And it's not even about my skin. It's just I dress urban. I don't wear
That's probably it more than...
That's what it is.
That's it. It's more than like your skin color. It's like, if you were wearing a suit, I'd be like, oh, the guy's wearing a suit.
Because I wear a suit to work, but I also keep a gun with me. You get what I'm saying? To the point where somebody walked through that door, I have to be ready to protect everybody. You can trust me to protect you in a suit. You got to be able to trust me when I'm outside of the suit, to understand me a lot more,
As I think about this, like, I think of like all the stuff going on in downtown St. Louis.
True. Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad, right? Like, during COVID, there were the street races. They were just doing it out openly. I mean, it was just a couple weeks ago that somebody shot outside the courthouse and the bullets actually went into the courthouse.
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad.
So how do you bridge this divide where you're like, people shouldn't be judged, but then there's a whole bunch of bad stuff going on?
True. Just like school shootings. Majority of the school shootings come from
white guys.
Exactly. So you have to, if I see a white kid coming to school and he has on a coat, I'm instantly judging him and saying he has a gun on him. If I see a white kid coming this building and it's 40 degrees, I mean, it's 106 degrees outside, I'm asking him, what floor are you going to? I'm targeting him right out the jump. So you got to pick and choose. If I know that it's 100 degrees and I see a kid with a hoodie on, then something's wrong. But if it's cold outside and you see a kid with a hoodie on, he's cold. So you just got to learn how to read people a lot more. And I think with my culture, we get judged first, and then after they talk to us, they say, you know what? This guy is actually smart. He actually know what he's doing, So I just never judge people, like, unless it makes sense. Like, for you to walk in with a trench coat and it's 100 degrees, I'm judging. I'm trying to make sure that you're not in here to do no harm to anybody. But I just want, with the whole downtown area, with everything that's going on, it's bad everywhere. It's gonna be like that for the rest of our lives.
You think so?
It's never gonna stop, because you got guns on the street. You got a lot of guns on the street that a lot of people have. Their fathers have guns. So if you know it's so easy to get a gun, it's never gonna stop. It's never gonna stop. So I tell people all the time, just be careful. Like, it's not going to stop.
It's probably a realist perspective, right?
Yeah.
That like the violence and things aren't going to stop, but it's also sad, right? Because I have people on the podcast talking about like, oh, I want to revitalize St. Louis. Oh, I want to bring that downtown back.
Yeah.
And to be like, the violence is going to be there.
That person that's probably trying to do it could possibly get hurt trying to do it. You have gangs everywhere. When you think of downtown, the South Side, or whatever the case, you have a lot of cliques. You have a lot of people that you go in this area, you might get hurt. If you got drugs and guns, you're going to have a problem. If you're not really attacking these kids, it starts with the parents at home. How was they raised, you know? And then you start to look at who you're hanging around, you know? So I just always try to be careful. I don't really hang around the crazy guys that do a lot of bad stuff. I know those guys, but I don't hang around.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of, like you were talking about the school shooters, right?
Yeah.
I was hearing somebody talk about this. Now, I haven't looked it up, but I've heard that 90% of the school shooters come from single parent families.
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't that nuts?
That's crazy.
I mean, like that's like, when you think about that, like it really does seem to me that the only way we get out of the massive violence, chaos, is to somehow make it way more possible for fathers to be in the picture.
Like for me, my dad, I knew who my dad was, but he didn't live with us. You know, him and my mom split. And on the Dillard side of my family are really wealthy. Like they're pretty good. But he wasn't around. So I had my uncle and my stepdad to show me, you know? So yeah. And I had also coaches and people that really admired me playing sports, like Demetrius Johnson, that we just lost him. I don't know if you know who he is. Demetrius Johnson he was one of the guys that could make a change. He just lost his battle, you know, of life a day before Christmas. So, you know, if you should look him up, man. Demetrius Johnson is really tied in with a lot of these people that's out here doing good with the radio stations, with everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, the dad thing, like, to me, when I hear about all the divorces that go on,
sure.
and like in my community, like that's the bad one, right? Like you could have a perfectly like normal, even slightly wealthy family, but once that divorce happens, like
everything's over.
You know, yeah. And like moms, like they can try as hard as they want, but they just can't. I mean, you raised boys, like they just can't do the same thing that dads
Not at all, man. It's easy when you have that. Both parents in the house. It's easy because I saw it with my uncle and my aunt. You know, both of them in the house, they raising us, they showing us what to do. But when you go home, before my mom met my stepdad, it was just her. And you teaching us how to be a man and you're a woman is kind of hard.
Yeah, there's just parts about life that a woman can't teach a young man. Like, you don't know what it's like to be rejected by, you know, women when you go up and talk to them. You don't know what's expected of you if you get into a fight at school. Like, you can have the woman's idea of like, oh, this is how you should handle yourself. But a man, he was a boy once. He knew what it was like to get picked on. He knows what's going to take.
And that's the thing. It's a lot of bullying going on. Like that stuff, it's probably never going to stop either. Like, I just like for everybody to just face reality. Like, this stuff's never going to stop. These school shootings, it's never going to stop because we're not thinking about what these kids are really going through at home. That's why it starts at home, and they take whatever happens at home into the street. And if they getting picked on at home and at school, we got to start looking at that kid like, hey man, let's get you some help. That's how you can stop it. Those kids that walking through the school that's real quiet, that don't want to talk, and they, you know, they're really just on edge all the time or very aggressive. Talk to those kids more.
Yeah, because somebody's going to talk to them, but they're going to be people probably on the internet, right?
Exactly.
Like the internet is so wild for like there's this guy that I had him on the podcast. His name's Michael Vassar. He's this like intellectual guy. And I was talking to him. I'm heading up to Canada to give this talk about like rural versus urban conflict.
Yeah.
And one of the things this guy, Michael Vassar, was like, I was like, what would you tell these farmers that are living up in way northern Canada? And he's like, you can't stop your kids from being on the internet, but you must go on the internet with them, because if you don't know how to like operate where they are, there's going to be people talking to them that you don't know anything about. Like letting them go to the back alley and letting them talk with just complete freaking strangers.
Right, man. The internet is dangerous. Like, I have to be careful on the internet because you can have your location on without even knowing that you got your location. I had to tell one of my artists. He posted a picture, and I was like, hey, man, I know where you at. You at a shoe store right now. You are about to get in your car, and you're about to, you just got to the hotel. And he was like, how do you know this? I was like, dude, I'm watching your social media right now, and it's showing everything. So if I wanted to come kill you, I can come do that. And he was like, all right, how do I turn this off? I was like, listen, this is what you need to do. You need to watch what you post. Stop. And when you go out of town, don't post when you out of town. Post when you made it home. You back at home, post those pictures when you
that's right. After it's already gone.
Because somebody's watching like, oh, he out of town, I'm about to go rob his house. You know what I'm saying? And
how do you feel about posting photos of your kids online? I
don't do it no more. I'm really careful because it's so dangerous. Like I was doing YouTube at first, and we called the Dope Family on YouTube, and I was posting them a lot. I was like, you know what? That's kind of dangerous. I'm not gonna do that because I have really nice kids. They just like, man, these kids are different, man. They were really nice. Like, they wasn't raised how I was raised. Like, they don't, like my youngest son, he don't like anybody and no bullies. Or at his school, he's like, no, don't fight. Like, the way I was like, man, when I grew up, I was like probably the one that was fighting, you know? So, yeah.
So I asked a lot of men this question is like, you're a successful guy, right? But you came from a rougher spot.
Yeah. How
do you think you're going to raise your kids when coming from a rougher spot is kind of what made you capable?
Not like I was raised.
Yeah.
I'm there with my wife. Hey, man, we have fun. You know, they live a different lifestyle than me, and that's my job, is to make sure they live a different lifestyle. You know, we are in a nice area where they go to a nice school. You know, they're living a way better life than what I lived. Seriously, all the way.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, I didn't grow up under hardship, but my father was put a lot of pressure, particularly on the boys, to be like, you know, you're going to get out there, you're going to work, you're going to make money, you got to do that.
Father's supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I know a lot of people that have been really successful that came from real rough situations, and they're like, how are you going to replicate? Your kids are going to have to figure out a different way to be successful than the way that you were.
Yeah, for sure. Sure, like my kids are into like I'm into shoes too, but they're really into shoes. So I guarantee you they're gonna want to come to me and say, hey, I want to make my own shoe. I'm gonna put the money up and help them do it. You know, if we fail, we're gonna fail together. You know, I'm just in the type of, you know, lifestyle where it's a gamble. Every day, making it home nowadays, that's a testimony. You know what I'm saying? And especially in my community. Making it home, oh man, that's like the goal of the day. Like when I leave here, I'm happy if I make it home.
That's like so mind bending. Like that's like got to change the whole way you view the world.
Man, I don't like this. This is cool. It's private, but you see, I walked in with a bag.
Oh yeah,
I trust no one when it comes to making it home. I'm going to make it home. You know, it's just on the strength of like, I cannot be in a situation where I'm vulnerable and or sitting like or out there like a sitting duck, like making it like when you downtown, you probably stop at a red light, right?
Yeah.
Not all of us. I'm just being honest. Not all of us. We don't stop at red lights because it can be somebody that follows you from your last location, and that red light turns into a shootout. That's why a lot of the times downtown, you see cars get robbed. Somebody can be holding you up at gunpoint. It happens at red lights. That's why, you might see like, why is that car driving fast through that red light? Because that person probably knows how it really is out here. It's dangerous.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was just last week, I was down at the radio station downtown, and there was a car that cut me off right in front of a red light and then stopped in front of me. And I was like, is something about to happen here? Like, what am I going to do here? You don't know. And it, like, if you're out here or you're out they're like, that's not even a question.
That's not even a question. Where I live, I stop at red lights. But when I go to my business, I don't stop because you just never know. And I take nothing but I change my route every day. I never take the same route every day. Just on the strength of you just don't know.
So why do you think the world got this way? Like, what happened?
Social media.
You think so? Social media made it more dangerous?
Social media made it way more dangerous. Everybody see the lifestyle. People make social media look so good. When you look at my page, I make social media look phenomenal. I'm talking about.
Yeah, you guys look a lot cooler than me. That's for sure.
Like, we make that thing look really good. So in my community, if you look cool, you're going to try to take the cool person out. Just being honest. Because now you want that person to look at you cool. Or it might have been somebody like, hey, man, can you play my music? Or I'll probably unplug somebody's music. Or I got an artist that I just got signed to a major record deal. You know what I'm saying? You just never know. And they're like, can you help me with that? And I say, no, right now it's not the time. So, oh, man, I'm going to kill him just because he said no. You just have to think about this stuff because it really happens. It really happens, man.
The other big thing that I see, and I don't know the statistics the way I hear other people citing it, but like, there are a lot of black men in prisons right now.
For sure.
What is going on with that? Like, to me, I look at the number of people in prisons and I think we're worse than China. Like, we lock up way more people than China does.
And you know why they're all in prisons? Because you still got drugs and you got guns. Drugs and guns. When you take those off the street, that's when it's all going to stop. But if it's always going to be around, it's never going to stop. Like, it just goes back to what I was saying. Like, you have these ways of getting to any type of drug. Drugs, when you think of drugs, you think of like, okay, this is a come up. I'm about to make some money. Everybody wants to make money. That's the root of all evil, is money. So now you got the drugs and you're making money. Now you need protection. So you're going to go to whoever's selling drugs and whoever's selling guns on the street. If you don't have a good name and you don't want to get the gun in your name, you're going to go to whoever's on the street and buy a gun. So now this gun might have murders on it. This gun might have all types of stuff on it. But you walking around with this gun. Police stop you or they get behind you because you might have not turned on the signal, right?
Yeah, or you ran the red light.
Yeah, or you ran a red light, or your window's too dark.
Yeah. Or
certain police, some good cops, bad cops. I appreciate all law enforcement because at the end of the day, I'm not hiding, but you have some people that just look at you and say, hey, man, what are you doing in this area? I got pulled over just that same way. What are you doing in this area? So you have some people that stereotype you before they really understand you. So when you think of drugs and guns, you think of like, I know if I get pulled over, I got this hot gun on me. It probably got 3 bodies on it. And when I mean bodies, I mean killings. And I got a pound of dope in the car, or weed, or whatever the case may be. Police get behind you, boom, you're going to jail. So if you got bullets in there, I think it's like 3 years or 10 years for each bullet or something like that. So if it's loaded and you got one in the chamber, you're going to jail for a long time. So majority of that happens in the urban community. But when you think about the school shootings, it's probably somebody that was raised in an area where it was like farms and they go outside and they shoot, and this person's the chubby kid that get bullied at school and then go home and get told to go milk the cow or something. I'm just being honest. I'm being honest. And getting yelled at to go do this, and he really don't want to do it. And he's getting bullied at home, bullied at school. That gun that his dad or mom or uncle go hunting with becomes the people's hunter. Like, he becomes the people hunter at school. So when you take the guns away, that's when it's all gonna stop.
Do you think that's the answer? Got to get
the answer.
Outlaw guns to take them away.
Like, you just got to take it away. Like, how many unarmed black men have been killed by cops because they was nervous? They saw I'm a big guy. So if you pull me over, I'm a big guy. So you instantly nervous, and I'm dressed the way I'm dressed. Like, I could have came up here and wear a suit and tie.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, man, give me some scotch and let's smoke a cigar and let's really get in depth with this thing. No, I really want you to see me for the same way you see the person that's outside right now that's trying to help the old lady get to a car. You know, I really want people to see the urban community for this. This is what you're going to get when you see somebody like me, you know. And I'm not a super politician guy. I'm not anything like that. I'm just the urban entertainment business in St. Louis. And I want to make it home to my family. And I'm not a threat to no one unless you're a threat to me. You know what I'm saying?
So if you get pulled over by the police and you're a security guard, like you're in dangerous areas, how does that interaction go?
They don't care about none of that. You know, I can have all my credentials. I can say, hey, man, I own a security company. It's called On Time Security. I've been in business for 7 years. Ago, my card. I don't want to see that car. I don't care about that. What are you doing? How are you driving this nice car? I just told you.
They ask you that?
Oh, man, I have gotten pulled over and got asked all types of stuff.
Dude, I never get pulled over.
Dude, this is going to be your best interview. I promise you. I got pulled over 3 weeks ago. I was in $150,000 car. Not my car, but I was in it. And they pulled me over and they say, hey, what are you doing in this area? Are you here to rob or what are you doing?
And you were in your area? Where were you?
I was in the area I live. I can't,
okay.
Yeah. But I was in the area where I live, and I was just like, well, I left my humidor at home. And once I started talking about humidor, how old are you? Oh, I'm only 34. How did you get this car? I said, well, I own this and I own that. And it's actually a friend's car. And he was like, well, do you have any weapons in the car? I was like, yeah, I have my firearm in it. And it's in my name. It's actually in my book bag. And it's actually in where it's safety on it. And it's super secured where only I can open it. But if you want to search it, you're fine. You got guns and drugs. You got drugs in the car? I was like, no, I don't. I got cigars. Had to get my humidor. And cigars, well, I need to see how these cigars look, you know. He was just giving me a tough time, but he got me out the car. He searched. He didn't see what he wanted to see. So he was like, you don't belong in this area. How you gonna tell me I don't belong there? I made over $200,000 last year, and you're gonna tell me I don't belong there? All right, cool. You keep that. I'm gonna let you have that, sir. I want you to remember what you said, that I don't belong over here. So a lady comes outside, right? Her car just got broken into. And I'm in the area. And this out where I live. It's this thing called the Kia Boys. I know you probably heard of them. These cats, they stealing all types of Kias out, right?
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Oh, man. These dudes everywhere. You should look it up. So her car gets stolen. And she says, I can't believe somebody broke in my car. I'm over a friend's house, like that stay close by me. And we're over there having a good time. So I go out there and help her. Comes to find out that's the officer's sister. That's the officer's sister that pulled me over. So he sees me again. And she was telling him, like, no, Robert helped me. He's a really good guy. I see him over here. He hangs out with so-and-so, and he's pretty cool. And he owns the studio. I actually let my son go down and record at his studio.
Oh, man.
This guy had to eat every word that he said. You know? So I just never want to judge people, but I don't want to get judged either. Because this is what you're going to get when you see me outside.
Yeah, I never get pulled over. And if I did get pulled over, within the first 30 seconds of the conversation, it would be like, this guy is not.
Yeah, they let me go.
Yeah.
See, I don't get pulled over a lot, but if I do get pulled over, I just pray to God that this cop understands the community. That's all I just want to make it home.
So this maybe brings up a sensitive topic, but one I'm interested in, like when Ferguson happened, what was your view on that? What was your perspective? Okay. Oh, you lived in Ferguson?
Yeah, I lived there when that happened. I stayed right in Jenny's. I just bought a house. I paid a little money and I had to stay there for a year, right? I was like, dang, I gotta stay here. But all right, whatever. So me and my wife, we stayed there. I just started this security company. I was like, oh man, we gotta stay here for a year. I just bought this house.
Oh gosh, Ferguson was 7 years ago. Right?
Yeah.
It seems like yesterday.
Yeah. I stayed there. And that happened. So Jenny's, then you got West Florissant, and you go up a little bit. That probably happened like 10 blocks over, where the riot and everything was right there.
So let's back it up. When you feel like when that whole thing went down, you and your community, what was your take on it? The cop was like overly aggressive. The kid.
I just feel like it was just all miscommunication. It was just all miscommunication. It started with the store. That kid was in there doing something at that store. Don't know what he was doing, but he was there doing something with an employee at that store. And the police was called. The police just reacted. And that kid didn't turn around the way that police wanted them to. Or I wasn't there, so I really can't speak on it. But it was just all miscommunication. And we lost somebody, and I know his dad. You know what I'm saying? I really know his dad. His dad is out here really a good guy, good stand-up guy. And I see his mom at the same place I go get my haircut, you know? So, yeah.
And then when all of the reactions started happening, right? Like the riots around you.
Yeah, we started losing a lot of people that really meant a lot to the city as far as the urban community. We started losing a lot of people, like where they start getting they in their car and their cars get set on fire with them in it. We had a lot of people.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. A lot of people was dying around this time.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So we in our community, we like, hey man, what's going on? Like, is this a setup? Like, I don't know what's going on. But was I out there? No. I wasn't out there at all. Was I really tuned in all the way like I should be? I wasn't. Because I'm just over here thinking like, I don't want this to happen to me. I just want to go home.
I just want to make it home.
Yeah, I just want to make it home. So I just always, that's why I'll be telling people, just don't judge a book. Please don't judge, man, because it's dangerous. You might make the worst decision and lose your whole career. Or you might make the worst decision and lose your life.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
So what should a guy like me know about Black Lives Matters?
All lives does matter. But we don't get looked at like how you get looked at. You know what I'm saying? If we walk in the room together, if I didn't walk in with you, they're going to think I'm up to something. So we get stereotyped so fast.
Man, that's gotta suck.
It sucks.
Like
it
to
sucks.
feel that way, right?
Oh man, it sucks. It sucks every day. When I wake up, I come to work. I say, I get some people down there that want to be nice. Then I get some people that really want to be ignorant. You know, to the point where I have been called all types of stuff sitting downstairs.
And this is a nice building.
And this is a nice building, but everybody that's in suit and tie or whatever are not nice people.
Fair enough.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I don't judge people. I go to work. And the only reason why I'm working because it's hard to find help. You know, and you want to have somebody that really can represent you well. So I just haven't found that person yet.
Well, it makes a big difference because we're walking in. This is a nice building. There's doctors here, there's attorneys. There's like
a big difference.
And like we have there, like you and I became friends because you're like a friendly guy. Wade, you remember me? Yeah,
you know. And the owner of the building actually introduced us.
That's right.
Yeah. So you know when you get somebody like that introducing you to somebody like me, and I'm just supposed to be the help. You know, you really start like, why would he introduce us? You know, so you have to look at that. But I get all types of stuff here, man.
And so when you're saying that with Black Lives Matter, you're saying like, look, all lives matter, but the phrase was meant to make you aware that there's something going on like where people are not being treated equally.
Yeah, we matter too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the only race where people look and get nervous. If you see an Asian man walk in or whatever type of race walk in, you probably won't get nervous. Now, when, you know, a lot of people was nervous or cracking jokes when we had the terrorist attacks and they see somebody walking there like, oh man, what is he on? But we've been going through this for years. It's not a cry for help. It's not I just want you to all love me. This is hey man, just stop doing that. Stop judging me before you even talk to me, you know? Really understand me as a person because I probably made more than what you probably made in a year in one day. You know what I'm saying? You can't judge people just off how they look. You got to really understand people just off the conversation. Now, if you see somebody that's like me walk in and I look like a bum, then I'm probably a bum. You know what I'm saying? But
because there's like a tension there, right? Because you also are aware, like, hey, there are some dudes that'll show up and hurt you that look like you.
Yeah, that look like me.
And so there's a balance there somehow.
Right, but how would you know? Just like how would I know? How would I know if I say hi to that person in the morning, they're gonna say, hey boy, how you doing? Or they're gonna say, hey, how you doing?
People call you boy.
I have been called way worse than that, buddy. I'm trying to tell you. And did I let them go? Not all. You know, you can ask a few people up here, but every person that crossed me the wrong way, I don't let go. And to the point where it was a guy, he was putting his hand on my chest because I wouldn't let him go upstairs and finish beating his wife up in the lobby. Right? She ran upstairs on the elevator and this guy was hitting me in the chest like, you need to let me up. Like cussing me out. Like, but it was like all N-words, right? So I said, listen, I'm not worried about you saying what you're saying, but you touching me. And that's the problem. He's still going off on me. Still like, F you, I'm going to get you fired. I'm going to call your boss and I know your boss. And I'm like, okay, cool. Call my boss. Here goes his card. It's my card, but like, here goes his card. Call him and let him know. Cause I don't want everybody to know I own the security company because then it gets weird, but they judged it like, why you own a security company, you work here? It's hard to find help and I got to stay making money. So, but this particular guy, he wanted to finish. His wife pissed him off. They was waiting on a ride. He's just mad, real mad. And he kept poking me in the chest. So I hit him because I told him to stop. I warned you about 3 times. and I hit him. We had benches in a little vestibule area, and I hit him, and he went up under the bench. So I called the police. I said, hey, I'm the security officer at the building, university, whatever. And I had to hit a guy because he, kept poking me. And I explained to them what happened. And they was like, okay, cool. We're going to come. We're coming now. Are you armed? And I said, at the time, no, I'm not armed. Is he armed? And I said, I don't know. I just know he's bleeding and he's up under the bench and he needs paramedics. So the owner of the building, he says, Robert, don't hit people because, that's just going to bring a lot of attention. I said, you know what? You're right. I don't want to, and this is when I first started. I'm like, I don't want to bring a lot of attention where I work. So he was like, so he explained to me, like, this is how they're going to look at that. You're a black dude hitting a white man. They coming in with guns drawn because I'm the person. I'm the law enforcement here. But you're going to come in and think that I did something wrong without looking at the whole thing and check the cameras. Come in, ask questions. Instead, I get a guy that didn't ask questions. Came in here like wanted to lock me up. And then I explained to him, and everybody, it was people from this floor that used to be here. They was explaining to him like, no, Robert wasn't wrong. It took them to get him to understand that I wasn't wrong. But by my words alone, he didn't understand. So that just goes to show you that Black lives doesn't matter to certain people. So that's why we're really trying to create that Black Lives Matter. Because by him just coming in, I explained to the people over the phone that the guy kept poking me in the chest and stuff like that. So I hit him. And I called the police. I almost got sued, everything by me hitting this guy, but it got cleared up because I wasn't in the wrong. But to that cop, I was still wrong because of my size and my skin complexion. You know what I'm saying?
Where is the Black Lives Matter movement now? Or is that like a wave that's passed and it'll be something different?
It's going to be around forever. It's just, I just feel like it's not like people are not talking about it anymore. Just like COVID. COVID's around, but it's not the big hype or anything because it's been kind of cool. Nobody's been getting killed. But let the next killing happen with a police officer killing a black man or whatever, then you're gonna hear about it. And that's something wrong with our community right there. We only talk about the stuff when
the emotions are way flamed up, yeah.
And that's the only thing that I think that we as a community have to work on. Like, don't go burn up your neighborhood. Don't go do that stuff. The way you get these people to stop spending money in there. Those stores that you have or don't burn it up. Just stop spending money. Stop going there. Then they're going to be forced to move out of there. That's how you stop it. That's how you stop all this craziness that's going on. Stop spending money at the stores that these people own that don't look at you like you're equal. Like,
What do you think of these people that were putting forward the idea defund the police? Like, it's the
that's
police.
Stupid. Like, we need police. Like, we need police. Like, that's dumb. You can't. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Well, it's gotten weird. Like, not just in the poorer areas of St. Louis, but even the wealthier areas. You call 911 and you get put on hold. Like,
yeah.
If that's the situation of your emergency services, and it's not just St. Louis, this is cities all over the country, right? Like, if you can't call 911 and have them be like, can you please hold? Like, no, there's
Hey, hold. I'm getting killed right now.
Right, exactly.
Hold. No, that's crazy. We need to get more police involved and actually train them on how to deal with every area. Those police that's from O'Fallon should work in O'Fallon. You get what I'm saying? Those police that's from O'Fallon shouldn't go work in Wellston School District or U City. They shouldn't do that because you're going to see more people like me out there dressed like this. And if you feel like that's a threat, you should go work somewhere else.
Well, that's a good point. That's exactly what I was saying before about like, hey, if I went to one of your rap shows, I'd be like standing in the back because it's not my culture. I mean, could I get there? Probably. Right? Like I could probably like figure out how I by standing out can fit in.
You walk in with me, you'll be fine.
I do that. I do that. Mm-hmm. So how did the legalization of cannabis impact your community?
Man, they was smoking weed before before that even happened. But to be honest with you, it's just I got a friend right now that owns a cannabis business. This is the same guy that was owning the cannabis business before it was legal. You know, I really don't know. So,
but did it make it? Because I know in my world, right, like. If you wanted to get some weed before it was legal, you had to talk to some people that were a little less scrupulous. Like, and like it wasn't necessarily dangerous, but it was not great. Yeah. And then with the legalization, it's way easier, but certainly that means use has gone way up.
Yeah, it's going way up. I just think for me, I'm just happy I don't do it. Like, I smoke cigars. I don't know about the cannabis business. Like my community. The people that know me, they'll say like, dude, you don't look like smoking weed or like whatever. I stay out the way. I drink scotch, smoke my cigars. I don't know about the drug life. I just don't know about it. So I'll probably be the worst person to ask about it.
But did you notice it changed anything? I think COVID would not have happened in the United States. The lockdowns wouldn't have happened if they hadn't had weed. I think there were so many people that were like sitting at home being like, all right, I have weed today. Yeah, just high.
Just I want to be high. That's everybody thing now. Like that's been the coolest thing ever. Just smoking weed with your friends and whatever. That's just been cool. I think it actually now we don't have to worry about sneaking and doing it. So they kind of give it a way of being cool, I guess. I don't know. I don't really smoke it. I stay away from it for real, So, and I don't even if you want to smoke weed in my studio, I'm charging you. I'm charging you.
Oh, is that really?
Yes, I'm charging you to smoke weed. If you want to come in my studio and you want to like, hey, I want a session. Can we smoke it? Yes, $50 a head. Yeah.
Do people pay?
5 people? Oh, they have no other choice. They're not gonna play with me or play with whatever's down there. It's just people respect us.
That's hilarious. I love that. That's a good business idea. Sure, you can smoke here.
Any way that I have a way to make money, like I charge people for a lot, like vending machines. I got all that. Like I'm charging you for everything.
Man, I feel like I could learn a lot from you about business. Like
urban side,
creative. Yeah.
I'm just a different type of cat. I'm not a street person, but the streets. I watch people that are street people and how they run business. You just got to keep up. Same way I talk, you have to keep up with what I'm saying, and just relax. It's gonna be all right. I got you.
So one of the things I love talking to people about is like art. Like what kind of painting, sculpture? I mean, you talked about rap. What kind of art like grabs your attention?
I have a cigar statue. You probably see it on the podcast. One of my cousins made it for me or had it made. I love art with like smoke or like that picture right there is amazing. Like that's dope. I caught my attention as soon as I walked in.
I call it the woman on the wall.
That's amazing. Like that art is amazing. Like stuff like that. That's what really catch my attention. Like sculptures and stuff too.
And your kids like fashion. I mean, fashion is art. It's just fast moving art.
Yeah, they love fashion. Like these kids, they wearing the Gucci and all that stuff. I don't wear that stuff, but if they want to wear it, cool. That's what's gonna make you cool or feel like you're okay. I'm fine with that, But yeah, they love it.
So speaking of kids, the world is changing really quick. I don't know. Have you seen this chat.ai, like this artificial intelligence where you can like type into it and it will talk back to you, only it's like as good as a human, better than a human?
I haven't seen it.
So there's this, like, I've been using it. So like I would say, I could take our conversation and put it into the chat bot and say, hey, what was a better question I could have asked? And it would be like, you could have asked Robert this question or question or this question. And I think about that. Like, you can ask it like, hey, when was Charlemagne king? You know, or like, and it will tell you all these answers, not like Google. Like Google gives you an answer where it brings you up the 10 websites that it thinks are closest. This one actually writes using natural language processing to write it up. I think about this and I think, how in the hell are you going to teach kids? What are you going to teach kids so that they can be valuable in the economy in the future when you have artificial intelligence that can write better than I can?
True. You just got it. Like, it goes back to having the father and the mom in the house. Like, you got to see your dad or your mom actually doing something. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to teach them. Like, for me, learning, I had to see somebody doing it. And I read books, but like really seeing somebody go out here, like, I didn't mention that one of my uncles owned all the Popeyes chicken spots on the South Side in East St. Louis and Illinois. His name is Frederick Williams. So he owned all these Popeyes. So as a kid, he used to take us to go to these. When he buy a store, he'll have us go clean it. And he's showing us how, like, hey, when you get your money, you put this in the bank. This is the unrest. Hey, when you get this, make sure you pay your bills because your credit, you know. So we had him telling us that stuff too. So you just got to see it. Like, for these kids, that's pretty cool that, you know, that thing going to be talking to you, but that's still not life. You still got to get out here and see life.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Maybe one of the best points anybody's made about it. Like, my brother, he buys houses and renovates them. Yeah. He takes his son along and is like, here's the hammer, you know, like, knock it out. And you think about, like, that's probably a better education than what he's getting in school. Yeah,
it's a way better education. You go to school to learn how to make money and get a good job. Just being honest. If you see your teacher out here, she really hates her job, and she's coming home probably getting abused or whatever the case may be at home, and then she go to school and teach her kid, that's not okay.
Not good, yeah.
But if you go home and you see your family, you come to my house, you like, man, I know my dad's sitting outside smoking a cigar, listening to some blues or some soft music or some jazz. And I know he got to go to the studio to unlock a door, or he got to go to his security company and make sure the person at work, whatever, I know he's doing good. I'm going to go with him. So you want to show your kid, you know, how to really, you know, grow up the right way.
Yeah, I think that, like, it's hard to do in the cities in the way that you could do on a farm, right? Where you're like, hey, we're all working. Like, we're all going out to bale hay. We're all going out to you know, harvest the corn or whatever.
Yeah, I got a friend right now, like, he got a farm, man, and his parents got the farm, and it's like in the middle of nowhere. Like, this place is huge, and he'll be like, "Hey, man, I'm going on the farm today, man. We're gonna drink some whiskey, and we're gonna just chill." I'm like, man, you know what, man? I'm gonna go ahead and see how you living. So I went mudding with him. That's fun.
Oh, mudding's fun.
It's fun.
Mudding's real fun.
Like, I'm like, hey, man, we about to die. Like, I'm so nervous. I was like, dude, I would rather literally be in the area where I grew up than be right here, right now.
Oh, really?
I was that nervous.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people.
When you learn to do it as a kid,
yeah,
it's like second nature, right? Yeah. Where you're like throwing mud everywhere, doing donuts and stuff. I also think it makes you a way better driver. Like,
it does.
I don't know if when you were a kid, when it snowed out, did you take the car out and go to parking lots and just go?
To be honest with you, we used to call those stolos, right? We used to steal cars and take them out. Nah, but for me, I wasn't that kid. I was a kid. Like, I really loved being a kid until my friend got killed. So I really loved being a kid. So I used to go to the basketball court or get some friends and we would play football, whatever. Like, I wasn't really like trying to get in no cars and stuff like that, you know.
Where'd the name Soulo come from?
This girl gave it to me in like middle school. She was like, man, you don't act like all the other guys that's trying to like, they're trying to fit in. It's like everybody wants to be cool with you. Man, I'm gonna start calling you Soulo, right? And I was like, you know what, that's pretty cool. I was like, I'm gonna go by that too. So for years, people have been calling me Soulo.
Man, that's like to me, that's like the best nickname I've ever heard. Like that is exactly what you want.
And I spelled my name different. I spelled it Soulo. So I had the soul into Soulo, right? Because I was R&B, I'm in the entertainment world, whatever. So yeah. And then now I just go by CEO Soulo on social media. Because I'm like a super CEO in my community, you know? I show you a better lifestyle.
All right, last question. If I was going to go for the best food in St. Louis, you're going to go out somewhere, where are you going to go?
Prime 55.
Prime 55. Where is that?
Prime 55 is on Delmar, and then it's a location downtown. And God rest Orlando Soul. It was his brother that him and T Love, they started that business together. Orlando lost his battle to cancer last year. And T Love's running it by himself, but he's still in business, doing strong, doing good, going strong. And so,
what do they got there? Prime? Is it steak? What is it?
They have everything.
Okay.
Steak. So when you think of Prime 55, you might think of a Ruth Chris. It's just a smaller version of Ruth Chris. They have everything that they have, and it's very upscale. Like you're not going to get in dressed like this. You get in dressed like that. I know if I go to Prime, I know I have to dress, but yeah, he's not playing. He don't play at all, man. That's one of my mentors too. So yeah, T Love.
Soulo, this has been fantastic,
yes,
man. It was you were a busy man. It was hard to get on your schedule, but I'm so glad we did.
Yeah, man, I'm happy. I really love your podcast. I appreciate you for letting me have the seat in here and getting on here, So yeah.
All right, well, we'll have you on again.
Perfect. All right.